Hey there, whole Bible readers. It is week 22. Now, again, let's subtract from 52. 52 minus 22 equals 30. Just 30 weeks to go after this week. And we're going to finish Job this week as well. So, as we're going to begin this week, Job's friend Elihu is going to speak up. And first of all, he's going to tell Job's friends that they're full of nonsense, which they have been. Not all calamities happen because we've done something to deserve it. Sometimes Elihu says God uses those things to draw us closer to him. So here's another question the book poses. What reasons besides punishment might God have for allowing bad things to happen to us? And Elihu names one of several, several embedded in this. He's got answers, in other words. He also has explanations. Interestingly, though, Job is not any happier with Elihu's answer than he was with all of his friends. Job is looking not for an answer. He's looking for he wants to make his case before God. He wants to confront God. And what does God do? He doesn't say, listen, I don't do that. God comes to Job. And he tells Job, I want you to be quiet and I want you to listen. And he takes him on a verbal tour of the earth in all of its wonder, its splendor, its might, its power, the mysterious things like the creatures of the sea that Job knew he knew nothing about whatsoever. People of Israel they didn't go out onto the sea. They were not seafaring people. So, with all of that, he says, Job, can you handle any of this stuff? No, you can't. The world is far too complex. Years ago, I saw the movie with Jim Carrey, Bruce Almighty. It is kind of a silly movie. It had Jim Carrey in it, right? What would you expect? And like Hollywood does, it wasn't great with God, but one of the points it made was whatever God is doing, it's way beyond the capacity of Jim Carrey's character or any other human being to handle it. There's a kind of a slice of the end of Job out of that. So God is saying, just be quiet. I'm God, you're not. And so by the end of the book, there is no answer to Job's suffering that's given. It's because in essence, God says the world is too complex for me to give you an answer which is both true and sufficient and understandable to you. It's just not there. So Job ends with that, or not quite with that, because at the end of the book we read that God gives to Job double what he has had before. Now this is not payment or makeup. This is just God being good to his people, because God is always good. Now, here's something I'd like for us to chew on. The rest of the Bible doesn't answer for us why the righteous suffer either. It does show us, however, that Jesus joins us in our suffering. Jesus dies for us, according to the Bible, but also he suffers with us. He knows what it's like to be one of us in this way. And God raises Jesus from the dead, and through that promises to us that he will raise us from the dead as well, that he will remake creation, and we will live in that renewed creation in eternal resurrected life, where God will not make us forget all the bad things, but where God wipes away every tear. I suggest we go with that as our best answer to suffering. Why do we suffer? I don't know. But God is going to raise us from the dead. So it is in the sure hope of the resurrection of the dead that we proceed in this life. All right, we're also going to get a taste of Proverbs towards the end of the week. Proverbs begins with a series of poems that extol wisdom and the life of wisdom. It's presented to us like the dialogue of a father, really the monologue of a father to his son, saying, son, this is what you need to do to live a wise life. Now, Proverbs, it's important to remember, is working on generalities. Job is telling us bad things happen to people for all kinds of reasons and no reasons at all, and ultimately we can't explain all that. But Proverbs, we might think, is saying, here's how you can live in a way according to God's will and the way God has made the world, such that you will avoid self-inflicted disasters, the things that you can prevent, at least to the degree that we can prevent anything. Now, the interesting thing about Proverbs is as we get further into the book, we're going to see sometimes it seems to say one thing and then say the opposite along the way. Why is that? Well, the truth is life lived in this world is pretty complicated. Sometimes there's an interesting balance in the complexity of the world in which we live. And God acknowledges that, instructs us in that, in the end tells us to trust him. So, I'll go back to saying it again. Happy reading in week 22.